I'm Alan Robarge, a relationship coach. Welcome to Improve Your Relationships, where I like to talk about attachment injuries and healing attachment trauma. And on this video, let's talk about not being able to end your relationship. And in fact, this is part of a series that I'm creating, a series of videos about different reasons why we are stuck and paralyzed in our relationships. We have obsessive thinking. You might notice that you're stuck between stay, go, and this is creating looping mind. You're looping in your mind, and as a result, you perpetually feel confused, and you perpetually feel in a state of inaction. You cannot take action. You cannot end your relationship. So this video is a series to highlight the games, the mind games that we play with ourselves, the faulty thinking, the rationalizing, the way that we can rationalize and justify staying in a relationship through this faulty thinking, through playing games with ourselves, reinforcing illogical beliefs, to dismiss, to deny, to downplay that we're in a bad relationship. And we might say we're in a relationship that's stale, that's over, that's dead. Or perhaps the flavor of your relationship is that it's hurtful, it's toxic, it's dysfunctional, it's abusive. Or we could say it's full of resentment. Or we have people walking on eggshells, it's tension-filled. You're living with a chronic tension in a bad relationship where there's contempt and resentment, and maybe there's passive-aggressive behaviors, maybe there's aggressive behaviors. Maybe you and your partner are just angry with each other. You're living in a relationship that needs to end. You have angry people who are not able to do anything about it. Or maybe your partner has no idea that this is going on, and you're living in your own private, silent hell, and you're fake. You're so fake, trying to pretend that you're in this relationship when in fact you want it to end. So this video is about certain different ways that we can employ certain thinking patterns to keep us paralyzed and keep us stuck in a relationship. So in fact that we don't take action and we talk ourselves out of possibly moving forward with our life, possibly taking responsibility for creating a new beginning through ending this relationship. And what we often do is just perpetually loop in our mind, reaffirming all the reasons why we're going to stay stuck. And there's different categories and different flavors of thinking of how we do this. And on this video, the flavor of thinking has to do with shaming ourselves. And I'm going to call this a shame dump. We dump on ourselves this heavy amount of shame that disempowers us. And when we shame ourselves, we are belittling ourselves. We're giving ourselves a hard time. We are telling ourselves that we are flawed. We believe fundamentally there's something wrong with us at the core. And in order to do this, we're punishing ourselves through aggression, through self-aggression, and calling ourselves names and believing that we're worthless. There's a function. It guarantees that we're going to stay stuck. And so you might need to employ a regular dose of shaming yourself. You might need to participate in a cycle of shaming yourself. And as long as you keep shaming yourself on a regular basis, you pretty much can guarantee that you're going to stay feeling stuck and paralyzed and not actually take action and do anything to leave your relationship that you very clearly know is over, you very clearly know that you don't want, you very clearly know is not good for you. But as long as you distract yourself by shaming yourself, you're never going to have the self-esteem, the worth, the strength, the wherewithal, the sense, the positive belief that you're capable of leaving and that you're capable of creating a life beyond this relationship. So one way that you never have to look at take the risk of creating a life beyond this current unhealthy relationship is you can just keep shaming yourself and telling yourself that you're a piece of shit. And maybe your flavor, your style is not as strong as calling yourself a piece of shit. Maybe you do this in other more subtle ways. One way that we do this is we say that we're horrible. I'm just a horrible person if I end this relationship. I'm so horrible. I'm a really horrible person if I give up on my partner, if I give up on marriage, I'm a horrible person. It means I'm a bad partner. I'm really a bad partner. And then who would ever want to be with me because I'm such a bad partner? And my guilt is so crushing. It's like if I initiate leaving, if I initiate ending this relationship, it just proves what a bad person I am. Let alone a bad partner. I mean, I'm just a really bad person. And at the same time, the fact that I'm staying, I'm an idiot. I'm just such an idiot. I am an idiot of a person that I'm staying in this relationship. It means I'm messed up. I'm so messed up. I'm broken and I'm flawed. And I have to cut. No one would ever really love me because I'm so disgusting. I'm a disgusting person. I'm an incredibly disgusting person who's flawed and broken. And if anybody really knew that, if people really saw the truth of who I am, I would just be banished and rejected completely. And so the fact that, I have to hang on for dear life for this relationship because I could not, no one would ever love such a horrible, disgusting, idiot, messed up of a person that I am. So I have to stay in this relationship. Fundamentally, I'm unlovable. I mean, that's the truth. I need to punish myself to give myself a hard time. Say, get it together. You got to be better. You got to work harder. You got to save this marriage. You got to save this relationship. If you can't save it, there's something wrong with you. You're not working hard enough. You're not working hard enough. These are just some examples. You hear how harsh they are. Shame dump is hard. It's painful. And you're doing this to yourself. You're being nasty to yourself. Shaming yourself is about self-aggression. It's about being nasty. And when we externalize it, when you hear me verbalize it, you can just hear how extreme it is. But it seems to go under the radar when we're doing it in our head. And it's just, this constant barrage of belittling yourself. There's something wrong with you. You're such a jerk. Why did you text that? Why did you say that? Why did you create that fight? Why did you speak up for yourself? Now you need to feel guilty. And this shame cycle is so toxic and so pervasive. And so if you are employing a shame dump as a distraction from actually leaving your relationship, we can pretty much guarantee if you don't address this quality of thinking and address how you're shaming yourself, you're not going to leave your relationship. Let me share a couple things to think about of what you do need in order to leave this relationship. You need a stronger sense of self. And a stronger sense of self is the opposite of a shame-based self. To have a stronger, differentiated sense of self, it's rooted in kindness. It's rooted in self-kindness. It's rooted in compassion. One way to work with this is people understand the phrase being hard on themselves. So if I ask you, say, well, are you hard on yourself? Chances are, if you're a shame-based person, or if you've been employing shame-based thinking, you'll very easily be able to go, oh yeah, I do that. I know I'm hard on myself. Well, that's a good launching off point. That's a place where you can start because you want to do the opposite. And that means give yourself the benefit of the doubt. That means be gentle with your thinking. That means offer yourself some kindness and compassion. It means reaching out your hand to yourself and giving yourself a step up. And consciously thinking, it's your turn. It's your turn to have a little accommodation. So the same way you accommodate a friend, the same way you pat a friend on the back, the same way you help a child get up after falling over on the bicycle, the same way that you smile at a stranger on the street, you're going to start smiling to yourself. You're going to notice yourself in the mirror, and instead of saying, oh God, I'm fat and my hair looks like shit, you're going to give yourself a little smile and say, I'm here for you. I'm looking at you in the mirror. I'm here. I really want to give you some accommodation. I want to offer some compassion and some kindness. And that's going to begin to counter the shame-based thinking, and it's going to strengthen a sense of self. You cannot leave this relationship if you don't have a self. You know, if you need to walk out the door, something needs to walk out the door. We need a self to walk out the door. So if you're invisible, if you don't exist, if you're a shell of yourself, you know, there's not going to be enough substance to be able to leave. So you need to focus on how can you strengthen a sense of self and worth and positive regard and give yourself some esteem yourself through kindness and compassion and gentleness. And that will counter the thinking of the shame-based thinking that you're employing in these very concentrated moments of dumping on yourself, being hard on yourself and dumping on yourself with shame. Please stop doing that. If you want to leave this relationship, you need a stronger sense of self, and you need to counter the shame by offering yourself some kindness and compassion. If you want, additionally, to think about leaving this relationship, you need a vision and you need a plan. It's not just going to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen magically. We don't have a magic wand where you can just, put in new batteries in your wand and go, ta-da, the relationship's over. You cannot defer to your partner to organize and orchestrate everything. You cannot defer to your partner to reject you and to dump you and to, help you move into a new apartment and set up a life. You have to set up that life. You have to have a vision. You have to have a plan. It has to be very concrete. And you get a piece of paper and you write bullet points, number 1, or, what do I need to do? Number 2, what help do I need? Number 3, who can help? Do I have resources? Do I have money in the bank? Do I have, do I need to reconnect with my church group? Do I need to join a therapy group? Do I need to get a therapist? Do I need to research lawyers? If you're married and you're getting a divorce, you need to see a lawyer. Do you need to go talk to your banker? Do you need to get a financial planner, a financial advisor? How much money do you need to get your own apartment? Go look at apartments. Even if you're not in a place to look at an apartment, you call a realtor, you call a leasing agent, and you actually look at 5 apartments, not just 1, 5. And you check the ones off the list. Go, well, that's horrible. I hate that one. I'm never moving there. That part of town is so inconvenient to commuting for my job. I can't live there. And you create a very real, concrete plan. If you don't have a self, a stronger sense of self, you're not leaving. If you don't soften the shame speak and the shame spiral and dumping on yourself through shame, you're not leaving. If you don't have a vision and a very concrete plan for leaving, you're not leaving. Now, another thing that you need to think about is you need what's called agency. And agency is the will to make something happen. We can also think of it in terms of having motivation, but in a way, motivation is just the spark. Motivation just activates it. You then need the energy to sustain it. And to think about agency, to think about asserting your will, comes from the question, what can I do? What am I capable of? And say, well, can I get my own apartment across town? Can I sign a lease? Can I save enough money for a down payment to get out of this stuck relationship that I'm in? And agency, having a sense of agency is, yes, I can do something in my life. I can make something happen. I also like to think of it as the gas in the car. So the vision and the plan is the car. You need the vehicle and you need the destination of where you're going. You're not going to leave the relationship and then just start driving around in circles. That would be ridiculous. That doesn't make sense. And so the car is the vision and the plan, and the gas in the car, or let's say you have an electric car, the electricity in the car is what's going to move you forward. Now, keep in mind, you also need the skill of boundaries around your grief. Your grief will sometimes hijack your agency in your will, and it will make you feel disempowered. So you need some sophisticated skills around grief where you don't implode into a mess of sadness. Sometimes, I value being a mess of sadness. If you can get there, that's really helpful. There's a purging experience that happens. There's some really some wonderful honesty that comes with being a big mess of sadness. And it's a very transformative place. And that kind of gut-wrenching grief is transformative and helpful. However, you can't live in that place, and if you do, it's going to suck your power, suck your energy. undermine you trying to have asserting agency and having will to make something happen. So those two things work together. You need some boundaries around your grief so you don't implode into a deep, dark sadness that is going to hijack what agency that you have in order to assert your will, to allow your newfound sense of self to move forward and to believe in a life beyond the current life. And in order to believe in that life, you need a vision. And then in order to make that vision happen, you need a plan to know where you're going. And then lastly, you have to let go of control. If you want to end this relationship, if you want to get out of being stuck, you cannot control the outcome. You cannot control that you might be signing up for some potential hardships. You will be signing up for some surprise. You will be signing up for groundlessness. You know, this is like living life without a safety net. That's what it feels like when we end a relationship. Like, oh shit, here we go. I mean, like, really, here we, like, ooh, like, oh my gosh, like, am I really doing this? This is scary, scary stuff. It's either walking out on a tightrope or it's just jumping off the cliff altogether. And there is this aspect of leaving a relationship and believing that you are moving towards something more, something different than what you have, because what you have right now is over, is dead, is stale, is not working. And in order to get there, you have to be willing to give up control, surrender, and welcome the outcome that is going to arrive at your doorstep, and you do not know what that outcome is. Now, you don't have to think in horrible, horrible terms that it's going to be all, negative. There's going to be some surprises along the way that are actually gifts, that are full of clarity, that are full of support and comfort, and that you might find, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, you'll look back and say, I didn't see that coming. Who knew that I would meet that person and that would really help me get here? Who knew I would fall into this new job and all of a sudden be able to support myself differently? Who knew that I would go to the university and go to the library and meet someone that can, helped me make the decision to enroll back in school? This, we help each other. And if you're open to the unknown, you're also letting in the goodness of the unknown. It's not just, catastrophe, and it's not just horrible, fear and things not working out. You're also inviting the possibility of things working out. And that's the belief that you hold, that it's time. It's time to let go of control and allow yourself to move into the unknown and to exit the current relationship that is not working. So I hope that this video is helpful to you. There are more just like it. It's in a series of talking about how we get stuck in these mind games that we play with ourselves, that we play in our own head to not leave. We get stuck by our own thinking. If this is helpful to you, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. There's more videos coming up just like this one. Also, if you want to learn more about the community membership website that I'm creating, please go to my website, alanrobarge.com, for information about that membership site and the community that I'm creating. Thank you for watching.